We like to wrap up every episode of Bullseye with a culture tip from me. It's called the Outshot. So from what I hear, Van Morrison hates performing. He doesn't really tour very much, and when he does, I feel like people always tell me it isn't that good, that he seems like maybe he doesn't want to be there. But I can tell you with absolute certainty that there was a time that he was good at performing, great at performing. And I know this because I've got it on tape.
When you got a headache, headache powder soothe the pain. Go right back to sleep, and you feel alright again. When you got a backache, little rubbing will see you through. When you got a heartache, there ain't nothing you can do. Ain't nothing you can do.
It's Too Late to Stop Now was Van Morrison's first live record. He taped it across 3 months of touring in 1973 in the summer, just as his solo career was peaking. It's partly a tribute to his heroes. Ain't Nothing You Can Do that we just heard is a Bobby Blue Bland song, for example. It's partly the totally revolutionary songs he was putting on his studio records back then. And it's partly a fond, almost nostalgic goodbye to the great songs he sang with his first band, Them, in the 60s. Somehow Brown Eyed Girl didn't even make the cut. But when he gets to Gloria, which was kind of an old-fashioned song even when it hit in 1964, the crowd lights up the way you do when someone plays your favorite song when you were a kid.
I tell about my baby, Lord, you know she come around. The fine people, from head to the ground. Well, she comes around here, just about midnight. Make me feel so good, make me feel alright. And her name is G.
Too Late to Stop Now was maybe the first live album with no overdubs, no studio sweetening, and it feels that way. It feels real. When you listen, the audiences in these big places, the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium, the Rainbow in London, feel like they're right there with you, or maybe you feel like you're right there with them.
One of these days, and it won't be long, you're gonna look for me, and I'll be gone, 'cause I believe. So I believe right now, I believe.
Morrison built his best work on a cycle of control and release. You can hear both of those things on the album. When it comes to control, I mean, he was a famous perfectionist. Apparently, Moondance, which is pretty much his signature song, isn't on the record because somebody messed up one note in a guitar part. Anyway, I read that on the internet. So on the record, the band feels tight. Like, not square, dorky tight, but focused enough to deliver a real rave-up R&B song, you know? Focused enough to make you feel caught in the music, bound up.
Just wanna hear some. Just wanna hear some rhythm and blues music on the radio. On the radio.
And Morrison emphasizes that tightness in his singing. He clips his loose lyrics into tight bursts. He feels like he's punching the band sometimes with his words.
The sky is crying and it's time to go home. And we should hurry to the call from the phone. Set by the fire and try out our clothes. It's raining outside from the sky above us. Inside it's warm.
The whole thing is a thrill. I mean, it is a show. It is these songs built to flatten any crowd in 10 minutes, crowds on the Chitlin circuit that had no interest in indulging performers. And then also songs patterned on those songs, the ones that Van Morrison had written himself. It's basically music in a form that we know works. But what's so special about Morrison is the way he blends that R&B band tightness, the builds towards ecstasy, and then he adds a rock and roll singer's, I guess, wildness.
And the caravan is on its way. I can hear the merry gypsy play. Mama, 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 look at Amaro, Amaro, Amaro.
By the time he's bringing the show home, singing Caravan, he's worked the crowd around his finger and he is just playing with them. It doesn't feel like an act anymore. It feels almost unmoored. You start to wonder if he's drunk or if he's got the spirit or just where he is. But wherever he is, you're there with him. You can imagine people in the audience in tears as he brings back that horn line one more time. And at some point, his lyrics become almost yelps, abstract sounds.
Turn it up! That's all you know. That's all you know it's got. So, baby, baby, let the one go. Turn it on, baby.
The finale on the record is Cypress Avenue. Seems like it might have been an encore. It's from Morrison's folky masterpiece, Astral Weeks. And it starts out folky and beautiful, but then it starts to spiral upward.
In all your revelation, when will it come? When will it come? When will it come? When will it come?
It gets wilder and wilder as it passes, closer and closer to climax.
When will it come? I said, hey, 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 hey,
until finally it stops. And you're left there, breathless.
it's too late to stop now.
That's my outshot.